Just a friendly reminder to please use your microphone.
Huh? Ready, Aaron? All right, today is Tuesday, September 3rd. Time now is 6 p.m. and the City of Williston City Council meeting has come to order. Ms. Wright, would you do roll call, please?
Mayor Goodman,
Here.
Council President Cox,
Here.
Vice President Hines,
Here.
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Riccio, she's absent, Councilmember Jones,
Here.
City Manager Terry Bavard, he's absent, City Attorney Kirsten Ballou,
Here.
City Clerk Latricia Wright, I am here, and all other staff.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, open in prayer and pledge allegiance to the flag. Mr. Mayor Goodman.
Each one of these people, the fire department, the police department, and all the staff and all of the people that work for the city struggling in the same direction, Lord, to do the best we can for our citizens. And I ask you tonight to bless each one of them, to give them the wisdom they need to make the best decisions they feel they can. I ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get going, if council members would please make sure your microphones are on and keep them at this distance. So we want to make sure that they can hear everything that we're saying. All right, thank you. Item 1, addition, deletions, changes, and approval to the agenda.
Were you going to go first?
We're going to move.
If there are no changes.
I'm sorry. We have a request to move item number 5F, I'm sorry, 5G to 5A, before 5A.
Just say that again then.
Remove item 5G.
Or more than one thing is what you're saying.
So what the request is to move item 5G and place it before item 5A.
Oh, you're moving it, not
Yes.
removing
Yeah,
it.
we're
Moving.
You said remove.
No, moving.
We're going to flip flop.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Everybody on council okay with that? Yep. Okay.
I move the agenda as presented with that change.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion with it? Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's 4-0. Okay, public participation. This is your first of 2 opportunities to address the council. At this time, anybody in the audience can come to the podium and speak for 5 minutes on any topic other than what is on the agenda.
Hey, my name's Joel Penny. I just want to tell the crew and everybody, y'all did a great job at John Henry Park. I appreciate it. That's great.
Amen. Thank you. Anybody else? Item 3, consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from August 6th and the minutes for August 20th?
President Cox,
Yes, ma'am.
on the minutes from August the 20th, on the FGU item, it should say review by City Attorney Kirsten Ballou and brought back for first reading. It does not state that. So I'm going to also make the corrections on my side so the minutes will reflect that it was supposed to say review by City Attorney Kirsten Ballou and brought back for first reading at next meeting.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve consent agenda. Second for
Any other discussion? Nope. Okay. Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Okay. Item 4, updates. Staff and board council updates. City Manager Terry Brevard is enjoying a vacation. Staff? Mr. Steve?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to let everybody know that we have posted a date for our grand opening on the new terminal building. That'll be October 11th at 10:30 a.m. And we are planning on having lunch. So feel free to come on it. Check the new building.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bishop?
Yes, so the DOT traffic light contract came up last council meeting. So for clarifications, the 2 zones that Deborah was talking about are on the map, are good to go, and we're good. Sorry.
Thank you. Police Chief Rolls?
I am reporting that Officer Dave Drennan, who was one of our reserve officers, has officially retired. I think he told me he has 50 years in law enforcement, and he came in the other day and let us know that he was retiring. So thank you, Dave, for, if you can hear us, thank you for your dedicated service to the city of Williston and law enforcement as a whole. And we will be doing something for it. So I'll keep you posted.
Very good. 50 years. That's great. Mr. Barber?
I wanted to follow up on John Henry. We do have some more things that we're going to be doing out there, but we are going to be transitioning this week to doing some more on Heritage Park. As far as the stormwater project, I wanted to make it very clear that they are not finished. They were here last week doing some paving. There was a manhole on 4th Street that had to be redone, and there was some fixing of some asphalt that needed to be done on 5th Street. There's a lot of grading that needs to be done. There's sod that still needs to be put down. We're going to be bringing in some dirt in a couple of spots for a couple of residents. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that project wasn't 100% complete. We did have a walkthrough, and we did go through a punch list. But there is a list and a bunch of tasks and items that Ulrich and their subcontractors still need to address. And we'll get back with the council when some of those issues have been resolved. Also wanted to mention with the stormwater, we took some sandbags this evening over to Northwest 7th Street. And assisted some residents over there. And I think we showed up late, but we were attempting to send some staff over there also to the 2nd Ave and 5th Street as well. So if anybody has any questions, they can let us know.
All right. Thank you, sir. Council? Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a fire at a popular restaurant that is one of the few that actually serves sit-down breakfasts in our city. And it has come to my thought, we have lost 3 restaurants in recent time, very recent time. And I'm hoping that we don't get ourselves into trouble, financial trouble, because we're losing revenue right when you are doing your budget and when you're setting millage rates. And we all want our citizens to have the lowest millage rate possible, but we are going to lose a great deal of revenue with these 3 restaurants going down. Who knows what's going to happen? I just ask the council and the citizens to bear that in mind.
Thank you, sir.
Comment? I think 2 of them will be back shortly. I think at least by Christmas. I know Sisters is moving into where Cirrus used to be. And I know the Ivy House has posted most recently that they're getting closer. I don't know that they're anywhere ready, but they're getting closer. So those 2 should be back online soon. But other than that, you are right.
So we also have other businesses that are coming in. Oh, you said sit down. They're not sit down. Not my home.
Miss Latricia, if I may, I didn't catch it up here on item 3 on the consent agenda. On the date of the agenda, it has Tuesday, August 6th.
So September 3rd.
Yes, that needs to be correction. It needs to be September the 3rd, 2024.
Okay.
Y'all updated
I
with
didn't
this?
copy that.
Okay.
All right.
This is the one I copied off the off of the packet.
Okay.
Our packet had the right one.
You did?
Where I copied it from this afternoon.
Okay. All right. Item 5, new business. We gonna start with item G.
Mr. President, this is a quasi-judicial matter, so this is a public hearing. So the first question for the council is whether there have been any ex parte communications from any member of the council regarding this property or with the applicant.
The only thing the other night I came to the meeting, and that's what was on the topic to be discussed. But other than that, that's
And by the meeting, you mean the planning and zoning?
yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. Anyone who wishes to speak on this matter, please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn in. Is the applicant with us?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I don't see the applicant or representative.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Now it's staff presentation.
Thank you. You'll see that the agenda item actually starts with the BEI that we put on the website. So this is an ordinance for rezone a parcel 0507600200. Right now it's residential duplex. The applicant would like to turn it into commercial intensive. The applicant is Turning Point Fitness LLC, so we're pretty sure he's going to put a gym there or something along those lines. The vacant parcel is 2.2 acres, and Turning Point Fitness is also the property owner. So the property to the north is commercial intensive. The property to the west is commercial intensive. The property to the south is residential duplex, and the property to the east is residential duplex, but the land use right now is actually commercial. So we might have to make those changes if that property owner is interested. So this rezone complies with our land development code, so we recommend approval. If you go to page 211, you'll see that it's got the little star. So we've got Doc Bullocks in the front, and the star is the property behind Doc Bullocks. Do you have any questions about why, where, or how?
Is that property currently cleared, or is it the one next to it that's still wooded?
It was wooded. He started clearing it. I'm not sure if he finished.
Just the cleared one.
And this is the one next to Dr. Reddy's office?
Yes, so
To
it's
the
between
right of it
Doc
if you're
Bullock's
facing-
and Dr. Reddy's office, which you can see Dr. Reddy's as being, it shouldn't be there, being used as commercial.
All right. If there are no further questions, now would be the time for the applicant or the applicant's representative to make a presentation. But seeing as how they have not entered the room, are there any additional questions from the council for Ms. Jones? No, Ms. Jones, do you have anything else to add as your sort of wrap up on this?
Yeah, I just don't give a demerit to the applicant. I think he thought I could handle it for him. He did come up to Planning and Zoning Commission, and they did recommend approval to the rezone last week on August 27th.
I would just comment that this is first reading and we haven't advertised yet, right?
We did advertise, but we advertised for the 7th. So we did advertise because we advertised for all three. So the
Okay.
second reading will be the
All
27th.
right, my next question is, have all
17th.
the property owners in this vicinity gotten notice?
They did get notice if they were within 300 feet.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
All right. Is there any public comment on this item? All right, Mr. President, before we go to the vote, I will read into the record the name of the ordinance. This is Ordinance 2024-734, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, rezoning and amending the future land use map of the City of Williston Comprehensive Plan pursuant to an application by Turning Point Fitness, LLC, under the amendment procedures established in Chapter 163 Florida statutes, changing the zoning and future land use classification on the following described property from residential duplex R2 to commercial intensive C2 on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Williston, Florida, providing severability, providing an effective date. Now is the time for discussion and motion amongst council.
Nobody.
I move ordinance 2024-734 on first reading.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? Without any, seeing none, move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right. Now we're going to jump to item B. Resolution 2024-86, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing authorization for the Williston City Council President to sign an agreement for project-specific professional consulting services.
One moment, Mr. President. I apologize. A would be the next item.
Yeah, A is on the first page.
Okay. Resolution 2020 threw me up here. All right, 2024-85, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston establishing authorization for the Williston City Council President to approve solicitations to construct an emergency bypass pumping connection at the Master Lift Station number 1, aka Fugate Lift Station, and provide an effective date. Mr. Donald Barber, Public Works Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Before you start, may I just comment that it's not for the council president to approve, but it's for him to sign if approved. Sorry. It's getting sticky there.
We'll make the change. Good evening, Mr. President and fellow council. So this is the Master Lift Station there at Fugate on Northwest 4th Street, and that is north of Northwest 2nd Ave. It is basically south of the tennis courts on connecting property. This lift station is beyond its life expectancy, and it has been for quite some time. 90% approximately of all the sewer refuse that flows to through the city and goes to the plant flows through the station. And right now, of the 3 pumps that exist in the station, one is completely down. Another is operating at around 40% efficiency, and that's failing. We're trying to replace gaskets on it. And the third can only be run in manual mode in an emergency or a heavy rain. So this RFP is to be put out for a bypass valve to be installed Right now, if the station itself does not function, there's no way to bypass the station and take the sludge and move it on toward the plant. So this is for a bypass valve to be installed outside of that confined space. And then also, in order to pump it into that valve, we would need to purchase a bypass pump. Those bypass pumps right now, we currently are renting one from Florida Rural Water as part of our membership in the sludge pit there at the treatment plant. But that is limited on how much flow it can provide. The one that we have access to through that organization is only a 4-inch and has a limited amount. We would need something that's a little bit larger. Walt from Wright Pierce is here, Walt Nickel, and he can go over into some of the details.
Please state your name.
Good evening, Walt Nickel with Wright Pierce. Yes, as Donald has kind of outlined, that station is critical for all the sewage, essentially, that flows through the city of Williston to the treatment plant. And it's aging, and this is a stopgap emergency measure right now, so that if there were a catastrophic failure of the last remaining 1.5 pumps, really, you got one that is running continuously, one that they can run manually. But this would be an emergency connection where they can connect this emergency pump to the system and allow the flow to bypass the lift station, and you can keep backups and flooding. I mean, it would be a catastrophic failure. The long-range plan is to come before you again as part of the SRF loans and all the different things, is to really redo the Fugate lift station. There's a couple options that are going to be studied in the future, but until that happens, this is really critical. So we're going to install, there's 2 parts to it: installing some construction of the temporary bypass connection. That's one part. The second part is a portable pump, which is a diesel operated on a trailer. So, the public works staff could keep it either on site or on their yard, but it would be size where it could pump all the flow that would need to be if there was a catastrophic failure. Because of the cost of these, it can't just get quotes. It's got to be put out for bid. And so we're doing that right now, assembling the package to do an advertisement for bid. And we're going to do it in 2 parts, because one part is construction and another part is the equipment, essentially. So we're going to allow bidders to bid on part 1, which is the emergency bypass connection. Part 2 is the backup pump, or they could bid both combined. So that gives some flexibility. It's 2 different parts. We're looking at a cost for the 2 right now between $100,000 and $125,000 for that to occur. It is a stopgap measure. It's an emergency, though, that you really wouldn't want to face. If that were to go, it would be a catastrophic failure.
Out of curiosity, with the emergency pump work at other lift stations?
Yes. Yeah, so when
you answered my first question and she asked my second one, so we're good.
So in the future, when the Fugate lift station is upgraded and new, it would have in its backup generator, it would have fail-safe, a lot more controls that really wouldn't be needed in the future, but you could use it at other stations. Modifications to the connections and the hoses and so forth. But no, it would be used throughout the city.
Because it's portable, you can use it.
Yes, it's on a trailer,
anywhere,
diesel
at
generated.
Any other lift station.
Yes.
And it can be used to pump water or just sewage.
Yes. It's a sewage pump.
Okay. Yeah. Just specific.
And clarification, so this is authorization to go out for bids. We receive bids, we come back to get approval to award. So this is just right now to allow to go out and get the bids and advertise.
And the 100 to 125, that's
both.
Everything.
Yeah, that's both components, yes.
We've gotten some rough estimates. The valve, we've gotten estimates as upwards to 50,000, as low as 31,000. And then for the pump, there's used pumps out there for 45, 50,000. Some pumps are up to 80,000. So it just varies in cost for. That's why we need to put it out for bid.
Okay.
And if someone had a revenue question, Terry told me to tell you that we consulted with Stephen, and this would come out of revenues on the new rate structure.
Knew that one was coming, right?
All right. Anybody else have any more questions for Mr. Walt? No.
Thank you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2024-85.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-85.
Maybe a second. Second motion. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 4-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
before you continue, could everybody please make sure you're speaking into the mic because it's hard for us to capture what your votes are on record. Thank you.
Item B, Resolution 2024-86. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing authorization for the Williston City Council President to sign an agreement for project-specific professional consulting services for additional construction administration services for John Henry Celebration Park, drainage with Wright Pierce, and provide an effective date. Mr. Donald Barber, Public Works Supervisor, Mr. Walt Nicker, right? Mr. Walt Nicker for Wright Pierce.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this is a revision of the original agreement between the City of Williston and Wright Pierce Engineering Services. This deals with the John Henry project that we spoke about. A little bit of the back history on this, and Walt can give some details here in just a moment. There was a lot of additional work. When the original agreement was signed, this was about 3 years ago, believe it or not. If you all recall through this project over the last 3 years, we put out for bid multiple times. We then, on top of getting multiple bids after the first successful bid came in, we discovered that we were very short of funds. This was pretty much during COVID when it began. So that's when we had to go out for an additional grant. And then you remember that we got an additional second grant for the same project. And that's what the two allowed for us to move forward and make it affordable to do this project. So in all of that, none of that would have been part of the initial agreement between the city and Wright Pierce. So they've reported hours to us that we've had looked at that have gone through Terry, Public Works, and also Stephen. We agree absolutely that the work's been done. So tonight is just basically a revision to that agreement, the update of the work and reflect of the work that had been done. And if Mr. Nickel would like to further comment.
Well, Walt Nickel with Wright Pierce. Yeah, when we did the financials back in November when we were going to construction, that we had a number in here for this because we had done a lot of work ahead of time, and that was estimated to be $45,000. So when I gave the summaries in the past of what the total cost was going to be at John Henry Park, that had a $45,000 line in there for Jones Edmonds for those additional services. That has come down. We didn't have to do all what we're doing. We're wrapping up the grants and doing that, and that's at $27,000 instead of $45,000. So we're able to not spend that and keep that down. So we were able to do that. But there were a lot of things that, as the project went on, and we were able to do the grant applications and grant funding and get basically $1.5 million worth of grants on that. This is part of that to cover those services. Any other questions?
No, I mean, the park, it's not a question, but more of a statement. The park looks great.
Well, the park
and the stuff that they've done.
The park itself, I would tell your staff and the staff of the city of Williston, the park improvements, I agree, that looks fantastic. So the stuff underground that was done by construction, and again, we, as Donald mentioned, they were not done yet. There's some things we need to button up.
Absolutely.
There's some minor things. Not an excuse. There was, some surface flooding there today. Definitely. I was driving around the city in all that rain. There was severe flooding in some places. The main infrastructure is handling it. We do have some swales and ditches and make sure the inlets are clean and the site is done. So there's still some final things that still need to be done. But the park itself, I would commend your staff and the city staff on that because it's beautiful.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other questions? No? All right, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2024-86.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-86.
Is there a second? Second motion. All right. Any other discussion or anything? No? All right. Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. All right. Item C, resolution 2024-87. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston establishing authorization for the Williston City Council President to sign an amendment for project-specific professional consulting services for development of fire impact fees with Wright Pierce and Supervisor Walt Nickel, Donald Barber, Public Works Supervisor.
Yes, sir. In January this year, Council approved an impact fee study to be conducted for the Williston Police Department and the Williston Parks Department. After research, it was discovered that Williston Fire Department could and should be included as we began to gather data for this study. This additional cost of $11,000 will allow for all qualifying departments to be studied and for these recommendations to be finished and given to the Council at a very near future presentation. This study is required before any impact fees could be assessed or should be assessed. If you look at the paperwork, it's just adding that into the scope. And I know that the police department and the parks department and even the fire department have started to turn over information so that we can get this ball rolling. And I know that staff's looking forward to making sure that we protect current residents from future development.
Anybody have any questions? No questions? I'll entertain a motion. For
Go
approval.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-87.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Any other discussions? None? Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right, item D, resolution 2024-88, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the submission of an application for FEMA flood mitigation assistance, FAMA, and building resilient infrastructure and committees, grant programs for fiscal year 2024. Donald Barber, Public Works Director, Mr. Walt Nichols.
Yes, Mr. President. This is what Terry has been talking about and Laura's been talking about for some time. We wanted to go before you, the deadlines and submit, get you guys' consent to move forward. This is particularly going to target the Northwest 7th flooding. This is going to address the issues coming down from all the way up from 27 on down to the neighborhood. And this is to come up with funding through these grants for that pond that's behind the first row of houses on the west side of Northwest 7th, and basically redoing that pond and making sure that we have inlets to start alleviating that flooding so that Peggy O'Neill and the houses down in that area are not a collection point. In the meantime, of course, you all know that we've done a lot of work. Just even tonight, I mentioned we were out there doing some sandbagging. We have actually put in swales at one of the addresses, which has prevented a lot of flooding for them. But these are the grants that will get us across the finish line and make sure that we mitigate any kind of flooding in that area. And if Walt Nickel wants to add anything, we can go over some more.
Although again, Walt Nickel with Wright Pierce. Yes, so Northwest 7th, was some planning and attempt to apply for this last year for the FEMA brick application, and there were technical difficulties with doing that in their website, so it was unable to happen last year. We had a meeting about 3-4 weeks ago with staff, and I reported 2 weeks ago that Northwest 7th was kind of their highest priority for drainage improvements and going after this particular grant. The window had opened up, and there's really two parts to it. There was an August 30th deadline to file a notice of intent to apply, and an email was sent. We filled out the paperwork, and it came through city staff with some concepts and plans, and we submitted that ahead of time. The window for the actual application is going to be opening up like any day. So you first do that notice of intent, and then when the official application window opens up, then you follow up with that after that notice. But you have to do that notice first. So that was done. And so we did that for brick for Northwest 7th. And again, it's going to help alleviate the flooding there. And you can go back historically. The engineering firm Jones Edmonds was hired by Swift Mud 2015 through 2018 to do a flood study here in Williston. And that area back then was highlighted as an area that was potential for flooding. I'll tell you that report, any of the flooding that we're heading today, I mean, they were pinpointed in that flood study, and this is one of them. So we're going to be using that study that was done before as evidence for the basis of this grant. The estimates that we prepared for this and the amount we're asking is $981,000. There are some requirements for shares, and it depends on how you, like a cost share. Sometimes it's 75-25, but there are provisions. If you can show the need, which I think Williston will, that you can ask for a zero participation. So we'll know that with the next round. But right now we've applied for the brick grant at $791,000. As we're wrapping that up, there's another component to this grant application. It's called the FMA. It's a flood mitigation. And we looked at that, and the projects you had here in Williston just didn't align perfectly, so we didn't do that. But at the last minute, we felt, what's the harm? Let's put an application for the FMA grant. Now, you can only do one brick or one FMA. If you do two, you're competing against yourself. Doesn't help. So we're doing the one brick I talked about. But we also, talking with staff, put in a notice that we'd like to get funding for Cottage Cove or Northwest 5th Place. And that could alleviate the flooding just to the east side of Countryland Estates, just north of here.
By Dixie
in
Lily.
The low point. So that
I never heard it called that before.
Yeah, Cottage Cove is, I don't know how that originated.
It's the development, but it's Dixie Lily.
I call it Dixie Lily.
Okay. Yes. So we felt there was really no harm in that, and that one we put in an estimate of $600,000 for that on the FMA. It's more of a long shot, but it was an easy thing to do. So we're also rolled into the same. It's all part of the same FEMA grant program, just a different facet. And so we would like to submit, after this notice of intent, if you're selected, to fill out the application for that one also. There's really no harm, no risk. And that one also could have a zero participation by the city. We just have to wait and see how they evaluate it. So anyway.
You guys would look at page 31 of your packet. And Latricia, I don't know if you can move down a couple pages. So again, this is Northwest 7th, and you guys can see 4th Ave there. And if you remember, lot 24 came up many months ago when we talked about a vacating of one access point to the property. That's that southern point. So where you see the dotted line go up into that pond, that's the spot that was vacated and turned back over the city. And that was kind of the strategy way back then to prepare for this so that we had a way of doing some underground drainage and we didn't have to worry about blocking anybody's access or easements or any of those things. This is back into city control. If you look at the northern point, that is So if you go up, it's basically along just between the southern and the northern entrance now of Country Lane Estates. If you look, or I'm sorry, at the northern entrance by the DRA. So if you look at it, there, the dotted line. So where the red farmhouse look is, and then where we cut in the swale on the single-story home, that's basically like an easement to negotiate with those residents, which they've already shown interest in negotiating for that northern drain point. So this would be the project that we're talking about, is getting these swales recut along Northwest 7th and getting this drainage to these two access points and making sure the pond is up where it really needs to be. So I just wanted to make sure you guys had an understanding of the direct area we're talking about.
Would it carry the water under Northwest 7th?
It would have inlets, and they would then take the water under. So we would basically, as it comes down the hill, it would have two catch points before it gets to the collection point at Peggy O'Neill that it currently does. And that would also alleviate, the DRA, the northern DRA for Country Lane Estates has a spillway into Peggy O'Neill as well, which has a natural swale on behind the first gazebo there on the southern side of Peggy O'Neill. So that would also obviously go back to the kind of the way it should have been, where the only thing going into that swale should be the overfill from that DRA, as opposed to all the drainage down Northwest 7th.
Would the ditch be on the Country Lane Estates side of the road, or would it be on the previously existing residence side of the road?
Yeah, the details of engineering have not been done yet, but the intent is, in fact, with the new application, we've upped that cost estimate, providing more inlets and more pipe just to cover ourselves. But there would be shallow swales in between driveways with inlets that are piped across the way, so a piped storm sewer system. You wouldn't have deep ditches at all, and a pipe system to that pond or quarry.
The straight answer is we would like to hope that both the east and the west. That would be the intention of the project. Because you need to make sure that both sides are getting back over that pond.
And this is a national program through FEMA, so you're competing with all 50 states. But there's over $1 billion in the BRIC. Wow. So that is kind of the big one. This is the one where we feel a little bit better about it. The FMA for the other site has 160 million. So, but less people go for it, but it's a much smaller pot. But there is over $1 billion available right now in this round.
Will
this
they let
year.
you send pictures? Well,
Pardon?
will they let you send
We
pictures?
included some pictures of the flooding in this,
That's
and
good.
when we do the full application, there'll be a lot more
That's good.
documentation.
I mean,
But
I think that proves the point
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, and Walt and I have also talked about, resident statements, things of that, submitting all that as part of it to really express the need, going through and talking about some of the damages that have been done in the past. So we've done a really good job, the staff has, of documenting the last few storms throughout the last couple years and really giving a scope of, how significant the flooding is.
So how do you think our odds are? Good?
I think on the BRIC for Northwest 7th, I think the project really is aligned for that program. I think you're going to check a lot of boxes for that. So I think the chances are really good on that one. I'm optimistic. It's a lot less on the other for the FMA grant, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any more questions for Mr. Nichols? No? All right. And I will entertain a motion for resolution 2024-88.
Move approval of resolution 2024-88.
Second? All right. Any other discussions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right, item E, resolution 2024-90, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving loan number 4000971719-1 in the principal amount of $160,000 from Seacoast National Bank for the purpose of rebuilding the fire department tanker truck, authorizing appropriate parties to sign any documents required to execute such loan on behalf of the city of Williston and providing an effective date. Fire Chief Lamar Steele.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. This is a resolution asking for you to approve something that we approved in the budget last year, then we approved in a loan agreement a couple, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and we're in round 3 of the approval process. So if you would like to approve it, we'll move forward. We're trying to rebuild our tanker, or we can start the process of trying to buy a new tanker for $500,000.
That was going to be my next statement. That was quite a bit more to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
get a new one. So you spoke very highly of this company that was going to be redoing.
REV has rebuilt equipment for us in the past. They are our service company that does all the service on our fire trucks. Their lead tech that works with us has been, how would you describe it? Fantastic, awesome. He has treated us like family. So, I can't speak more than highly enough about this company.
Very good. And how long would it take once they start?
Once they start, it'll probably take between 90 and 120 days.
So they're going to take it down.
Yeah, as fast as we can move forward, I would like to, because we'll be into brush fire season next year before we get the truck back.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
We have a second tanker.
I would love to have a second tanker.
Do we have anything else?
We have an engine that we will use as a tanker until we get it.
That holds a little bit of water.
Yes.
Okay. I will entertain a motion on resolution 2024-90.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-90.
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? No. All right. Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right. F. RFQ for the Williston Fiber and ISP Fiber Network Financing, Design, and Construction. Donald Barber, Public Works Director, Mr. Walt Nichols.
Yes, sir. So, as we promised council, we're moving as quickly as we can on this. I think that Walt and others would tell you it's pretty record time, Kirsten, how quickly we got some documents together. This is the RFQ. Pages 52 through 81 is your RFQ if you want to separate those out, because it's a lot of documents that we submitted. Pages 82 to 181 is the lit study. So that doesn't have to do specifically with RFQ, but we want to submit it as support documentation. And then the example agreement that we would begin to work out once we brought in our recommendations to you all and how we would work through contract negotiations. That contract is listed on page 182 on through toward the end until you get to basically the advertisement and the task order from Wright Pierce found on page 200. So those are all the documents. Staff spent quite a bit of time making sure that everything that we had spoke about, that council asked about, that were caveats and things of that nature went out. Kirsten can speak, but she's reviewed the legal aspects of this, the contracts, the insurance, the bonding, all of those things. Wright Pierce has talked about the design and handled that. So staff and they are prepared to answer any questions y'all may have, but we're hoping to get this out. And the schedule will basically put this out Friday, and from there we'll have approximately 30 days to receive applications for bid on the RFQ.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you guys for moving this along.
Does this thing need a vote or can it be a consensus?
A vote would be appropriate to allow us to submit the RFQ, put the RFQ out.
Okay. All right. I will entertain a motion for the RFQ from Williston Fiber. Mr. Nichols.
Walt Nickel with Wright Pierce. Didn't know. There's one minor edit in the advertisement since it went to your packet. The way we post construction projects, things, we have a Wright Pierce website, and that's where contractors and people get it. And there was always, through the service that we use, a $60 charge. As we talked, this is not design plans and things like that. It's just an RFQ. They've waived that, so that advertisement, it will be available. It says $60. It will be available at no cost. That's the only a minor change from what was in your packet, since that has changed since then. So just a minor thing. I just want to let everybody know. When it goes out into both the newspaper and on our website, it'll say that. So I just wanted to clarify that there was a slight change in the packet document.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So I'll entertain.
I make a motion that we move forward with the RFQ for Wilson Fiber as stated.
Second.
All right. Any other discussions or any questions one last time? No? All right. Seeing none, move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right.
Glad I'm not voting no. Okay. Let's consider it.
Thought I heard 4. All right.
Sorry, I don't want to be that person, but just for clarity of the record, was that 4-0 or was that 3-1?
I'm going to vote for it, but I still do have reservations.
Okay.
I'll just put that on the record.
So do I. Okay. Item 6, public participation. This is your second opportunity to address the council. Announcements, staff, council. Staff, any announcements?
I have announcements.
If you're talking to us. Talking to us? I just want to announce that Mr. Elihu Ross's funeral is Saturday, September the 7th at 11 o'clock at First Methodist Church. I don't know how many people plan to attend. If there's enough of us, I'll try to save a section for the city personnel. So kind of let me know. Yeah. Also, I would ask that as soon as the poles are ready, can you return the volleyball net to the park? Is the one thing. And by the way, the park was wonderful. I love the painting, all the repairs, all the pressure washing, the tree trimming. Everybody did an excellent job. I did have somebody call me and ask me about the volleyball net, so I'm just passing that along.
So
Yeah.
they redid the court, just to let you know, the sand, and we were waiting for that to be done. Then the old poles were metal, and they were rusty, and so we took those down, put 6x6s up. We went to go and put the old net up. It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So we
Only
believe
falling
we
apart.
have one somewhere in a box, and we've looked for it, and if we can't find it, we'll be purchasing a new one. But that's the only reason why it didn't get back up.
Perfect. I also want to, I know I've talked with Ms. Jones about moving forward, trying to get some sort of splash pad in John Henry Park. As she knows, I also would like one sooner or later in Cornelius Williams. I think both of them would be excellent place for one. The neighborhood has asked me where we would put the splash pad if we put it in there. So as I informed them as we began to develop that and draw site plans, that I would definitely tell them to come to a meeting.
Okay.
Either that or I could get them to them once we had them all paid.
So I've been talking to Fred Fox. Our FERDAPs are reopened. We do have a FERDAP that's open right now for Cornelius Williams Park. That was $50,000 for a gazebo. That is not including the parking lot project that we got from the Department of State. That's a different grant. So the FERDAP is opened, and we're allowed to do two more, two different parks for $200,000 each. So Fred and I discussed two parks for $200,000 each. So Fred and I discussed the splash park, and then also doing some work at Epperson. Epperson could use some help. So you will probably see those resolutions next meeting.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. And then when that happens, we do have to have that public meeting usually. So we will certainly ask everybody. But as far as the engineering, it really has to do with where, like, slopes and stuff. So it really doesn't have anything to do with, like, me picking, but it's like the engineers will have to find a good spot for it.
Whenever they do, we can let the neighborhood know. It's
Yeah.
the neighborhood that wants to.
Let the neighborhood know that we are working diligently on it. I was waiting for this project to close out because we needed to close that out before we could apply for the FERDAP.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
I have a question about, I've been asked about the pickleball tennis courts a couple times.
The pickleball, I did get the final plans. The contractor was way behind not way behind, but they were scheduled way out when we met them, but we had to go through our engineer and get some surveys done. So I think that they're just pushed out, but we'll follow up with them this week and see if they can give us a better schedule. But that's all been planned as well. It's just
Did Lennar accept the bid?
Lennar contracted the contractor. It's just that we didn't really know. We had some drainage issues, and then we also had some permitting that had to be done. And because they gave us like a week that they could do the project, but we weren't going to possibly be ready, so they pushed us to the end of their schedule, and they're just contracted out for a long time.
Well, I know the bid that I saw was very high, and we worked, and Lennar had not seen it when I saw it. So they have seen it now.
I don't know anything. I mean, Lennar gave us the bid package.
I can send an email specifically to Nick Crow and ask him that, and then we'll get back to you on
No,
it.
because we haven't heard from them since we got it. So we were worried that it was too much for them. Because it's an awful lot of money.
I didn't get a bid package. Lennar is the one who handed me the bid package.
Nah, it's pennies.
Huh?
It's pennies for them.
Maybe.
Is this pickleball court going to go where the tennis courts are?
Yes,
I think
We're
it's
going
calling.
to lose the tennis courts?
No, sir. I
sir.
think it's calling for leaving one of the tennis courts and converting the second tennis court that's there into pickleball courts.
I heard two pickleball courts.
Yes,
Because you can put two pickleball courts in a tennis court area. So I heard they were going to do two. What I looked at was a bid for two pickleball courts and one redo of the tennis court. And I didn't know the particular contractor, and I can tell you this was months ago. And we actually called the contractor who did the bid, and we asked him what caliber of courts are these, because we wanted good tennis courts. You know, we wanted to make sure they had rubberized surfaces and all this kind of thing, like they're supposed to have. And he is the contractor who does the tennis courts for the University of Florida.
Yeah, this is what they do.
So
Those
it
tennis
is a
courts.
very expensive project, and
Mhm.
I hope we get it. That would be wonderful.
We'll get some clarification on it.
I want to make sure I want to move forward with it, knowing the price now.
That's right.
Since you've said that several times, is this a tennis court and pickleball that Lennar Development Corporation is going to pay for, not the city?
Yes, sir.
So everybody out there knows the city's not paying for this.
And that's who I'm worried may not accept the bid.
Okay. Hold on, everybody. So Lennar is going to be paying for the resurfacing of the tennis courts. Any other work that needs to be done at the tennis courts of that particular park will be done by the city.
Sure.
While we were on the conversation of Lennar, this isn't the tennis courts, but I did want to let the council know that the buyout for the townhomes, that money has come in and cleared the city funds. So that was $179,800 for the gas fund. So I just wanted to make sure you all know that actually got paid.
All right. Thank you. That's right.
I just want to announce that on September the 10th at 5:30 is our first budget hearing. Also on September the 10th at 6 o'clock is our investiture ceremony where Ms. Councilmember Martin and Councilmember Riccio will be sworn in by Judge Bustamante at 6 o'clock.
So the budget hearing is at
5:30.
5:30. And the other one's at 6.
Yes,
Now, you put a lot of pressure on us.
I have faith in you all.
Then the 17th.
Is our
of
regular
September
council?
is our regular council.
Yes, at 6 o'clock.
And for council, December 7th is Light Up Williston. So this gives everybody a chance to escort off, join us on the float, have fun in the parade. Mr. Mayor.
I have nothing to say.
All right. Any other announcements by anybody? Mr. Jones.
I just want to let everybody know that the planning and zoning meeting for September will be September 16th. We have a business in town that has a pressing matter that we wanted to push it up a little bit and not wait until October. And then September 7th from 10 to 2, we have a event with some other animal rescues at Green Gates in Ocala at the Pavilion. There'll be food, there'll be entertainment, it'll be fun, and y'all can adopt a dog. I've got 16 kennels and 18 dogs, so I need help. Please, somebody come and foster a dog or adopt it. But so we'll be there for about 4 hours. Please join us. Take a dog.
Yeah, take a dog. I may join you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? All right. Well, with all that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
We adjourn.
All right. We have motion and first, second. No other discussion. Say everybody wants to leave. Aye. 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 It's 4-0. And the time is 7:01.